Hello, my friends. Sarah Gaston here. Welcome to another episode of Facebook Live, where you get to catch me between doing loads of laundry to answer your questions and wax profound about the business and craft of acting. Listen, today I want to talk to you about the idea that no one knows your potential. Now, as always, please put your questions and comments in the comment section and I will answer them live, or if you think about them later, I can answer them later. You can always email me, message me, etc., etc., etc. Also, I forgot to mention, let's see, today is the last day to enter your video into the Super Colossal Scholarship Contest. You have until midnight tonight to send me a link to a video 3 minutes or under where you tell me why I should give you 4 weeks of free classes. So anyway, I'm going to wrap that up tonight. So anyway, if you have forgotten about it and you still want to enter, you still have time. Closes at midnight tonight. Anyway, back to my topic at hand. No one knows your potential. So I want to start off with a quote by none other than Peyton Manning. I'm not like a huge football fan, but I know Peyton Manning and I know he's an extraordinary athlete and an extraordinary leader. And so I would like to share this quote with you. Pressure is something you feel only when you don't know what you're doing. Hello, Joseph. Welcome. And, you know, I thought a lot about this quote, and I was reading it on an article about something totally unrelated to acting, but I thought, you know, that just really gets to the heart of it. When we have not developed a skill, something around something, that's when we get nervous, right? That's when we feel pressure. I've felt that way a lot actually in the last 6 months because I've learned all this new technology and I don't consider myself a tech person. And so it's a really valuable thing to consider, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying about no one knows your potential. I work with a lot of actors. You know, filming projects. I work with a lot of actors on stage. I've worked with a lot of actors coaching over the years, and people often have this idea that, you know, I'm this great actor inside, you know I have this potential, I know I'm charismatic, I know I'm good looking, I know I can nail this, and that all may be absolutely true, but we don't know what your potential is. No one ever will know what your potential is. People only know what you do. And so what I see actors do a lot is, you know, they'll show up to an audition, or they'll show up to a taping, or they'll show up to a class, or they'll show up to a rehearsal, and maybe they haven't done their preparatory work. And so they're kind of muddling through, and, you know, I think there's an unspoken assumption that, well, everyone knows I'm good, and that's why I'm here, and they know that I'll eventually get there, so they should just trust me. And the thing is, I always compare it to the Olympics, right? I've seen this happen time and time again, in particular with the gymnastics competition and skating, because those are the ones I follow, but it happens in all the competitions. Famously happened to Shaun White during one of the Winter Games, where there was a person who everyone acknowledges is the best in the field, but on the day something happens and they just don't win. Something goes a little bit off, a little bit wrong, they don't pull out all the stops, somebody else overtakes them. And the reason I like to use that analogy is because that's kind of how it is as us for actors. We may have all the potential in the world, but if we're not out there actively working on our craft, developing our craft, working on the marketing and business aspect of it, you know, doing our networking, doing all the things that we know to do, then our results are going to reflect that effort or lack thereof. I have a student who came to me a few months ago and was really, really adamant that she really wanted to just, you know, she was going to work really hard. She was ready to do this. She finally made up her mind. She was committed. She just wanted to do all the work that she could possibly do, and, you know, put her work in front of some casting directors and just see what happens. And, you know, this person actually never bothered to ask me my advice, which is I wouldn't go straight to a casting director. I'd probably find an agent first, right? Because that's how you get into the casting directors. But they wanted to spend a lot of time during our coaching sessions telling me what they had been working on or what they planned to do. And a lot of times what they had been working on was actually things like, oh, I've been watching these television shows, or I've been reading these books, or I've been watching these interviews. And that's all really valuable, but at the end of the day, we're actors. So we actually have to like learn some words, make some choices, and present a character. Like that is the job. And so this person really never got around to that. And I, had suggested, hey, let's develop a plan for you. Let's develop some daily and weekly habits, and to kind of get you up to speed and to get you technique-wise closer to where you want to go. And the last time I checked in with this person, they really hadn't done most of that stuff. And so, and this is actually kind of a companion piece to the video I just dropped called Do the Work, because, trust me, I love reading acting books, and I love watching actor interviews, and I love, it's fun to watch Netflix, right? That's not the same as actually doing the work of acting, right? Those are important things, those are supportive things, but at some point, you gotta pick up a script, you gotta learn the lines, you gotta develop a character, and you gotta show us what you can actually do. That's why it's called acting. It's not called reading, it's not called observing, it's not called watching Netflix, it's not called doing research, right? So I just really want all actors, but especially my younger actors, when I say younger actor, I mean newer actors, to hear that you've got to, you got to get out there, do the work, and show us what you're capable of. The other thing is, people talk, people notice, people remember. And so if you're the type of actor who shows up to an audition, is never really prepared, or maybe you didn't really work on the script, or maybe you're always running a little bit late, people subconsciously sort of take note of that, right? The same holds true of the actor that shows up, they've rehearsed, they've practiced, they've made some choices, they're ready to go. Because this is a job. And just like you might have an evaluation at your, if you have an office job, right? You might have a quarterly or biannually or annual evaluation where they basically look at, are you doing your job? And how well are you doing your job, and what needs to be improved? Mentally, we're all sort of taking note of that, of like, what is this person actually producing? What are they actually creating? What are they actually generating? And people notice, and people talk about, this person's habits are a little sloppy, or this person's a little flaky, and it's not about bad mouthing. It's like if somebody, comes to a casting director and says, hey, I really like this person, what do you think? The casting director is going to have to honestly say, well, I like them too, but this is what I've noticed about them. Or, hey, you may not have thought of so-and-so, but you know what? You want this person on set because they are always prepared. They always have a great attitude. They're going to make your life easier. Anyway, I hope this makes sense. Hello, Craig Daly. Nice to see you. I will get off that soapbox right now. I say that, but there's one PS. Take this into all areas of your life, because how you do one thing is probably how you do most things, right? We're not going to look at one area of your life and go, well, they really show up brilliantly in that area of their life, but they don't really show up brilliantly here. Because pretty much how you do one thing is how you do all things, right? So even the things that you think are unrelated, people do notice, right? They notice if you're on time. That's just one of the reasons I hate being late. It makes me crazy to be late, because I feel like that is such a reflection on my integrity, and maybe nobody else cares. But that is not how I want to show up in the world. I want to show up as somebody who can be counted on, who can be reliable, who's a person of integrity, who gets the job done, who has a sense of excellence. And so whenever I personally do something like that falls short of that bar that I had set for myself, I am miserable, right? Because I want excellence from those around me. I want to be excellent, right? Okay, done. Off the soapbox. I could talk about it all day, but I'm not gonna. Anyway, are there any questions? I suppose I should refresh my Facebook page because it's a little hard to check on my phone. Just a reminder, don't forget the super colossal scholarship contest still going on. You have until midnight tonight to submit your video where you tell me why you want to win 4 weeks of free classes with me. Robin Jones' great advice said, well, I tend to be a little saltier when I talk about this. You know, Robin, I'm all about the salt. You know, I'm part sailor, but I try to keep it clean because I don't know if kiddos are watching. So I agree with you, though. It's really important. And, you know, especially in this business, we need everybody. It's like everybody on a production, everybody is like a piece of the organism. So if a piece is broken, if a piece is missing, if a piece doesn't show up, it affects the entire production. That's why when things come together on a production, any sort of production, everyone is so thrilled and grateful, because that isn't always the case. Okay, climbing back down off my soapbox. I like the view. I like the view. No, I'm kidding. I do a little anyway. Enough about that. Okay, if you have no more questions, then as I always like to say, I don't want to take up your time, because it is our most valuable and non-renewable resource, and I value it and I respect you and your time. If you enjoyed my Facebook Live, please, you know, share it with friends. Feel free to check out my YouTube channel. I share a lot of videos on various topics, a lot of tips on the acting business and the craft of acting. I break down a lot of what are kind of complex theories and concepts that a lot of actors struggle with, and I try to break them down and make them really accessible. And I also have an email list that I suggest people join. You can access that on my website, www.sarahgaston.com, because I send out things on my email list that I don't send out anywhere else. In fact, shout out Nikki Ballard, a student of mine. I had sent out an email about an upcoming production of Twilight Los Angeles in 1992, which is an extraordinary play about the riots in Los Angeles in the wake of the Rodney King controversy. And it is taken from actual transcripts of interviews, and I was introduced to that play many, many years ago by a mentor of mine, and I just think it's a phenomenal show. And so I sent an email around letting people know that a local theater company was having auditions, and one of my students was cast. So anyway, shout out to you, Nikki. So anyway, let's see. Hey, Cody. Hey, Carlos. Carlos would like me to thank you. Thank you, Carlos. That's a very nice compliment. Can I emphasize the importance of acting training if one is serious about acting? Yeah, I mean, if you want to be a professional at anything, you have to have some sort of training. That is just the bottom line. And I know we hear the stories. We hear the stories. First of all, we have to understand that Hollywood is full of spin like any other industry, okay? So spin basically means, well, I'm gonna paint the picture a certain way. So there are stories of people, I never took one acting class, and now I, you know, roll around in a big pile of money. That's okay, great for you. I can't speak to that. What I can speak to the fact, and this goes back to my Peyton Manning quote at the very beginning, is preparation and commitment leads to excellence. They just do. And when you're excellent, people notice, period. And without acting training, first of all, you are going to miss a lot of the technical things that are going to make a real difference for you. You may have habits that are not serving you, that you're not even aware that you have. You may not have a sense of, you know, what tools there are to help you be a better actor. So everyone needs to be in class, y'all. I have been doing this for 110 years, and I still train. You know, I go to Los Angeles every year, and among other things, I will take a class or two out there just to keep my chops up. When I'm not doing that, I'm watching webinars, and I take online classes, and I have a subscription to Masterclass, and I read the books, and I practice stuff, and I try new stuff. I try to stretch myself. I try to get out of my comfort zone. You know, one of the scariest things I did was to commit to going through the Groundlings core track, because that is for the people who, like hardcore, want to become Groundlings. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up. But you know, that was not traditionally in my wheelhouse, but there were pieces of that training that I wanted, and I knew I was going to have to kind of humble myself because I was probably going to be older than a lot of the students, and I might be way more experienced than a lot of the students, or I might be way less experienced than a lot of the students. You know, you never know, but you always have to be a student in life, okay? You always have to be a student. And we have to learn to humble ourselves and say there's always more for me to learn, especially if you love this and you really want to be good at it, because guys, things change. Things change. Actors become obsolete all the time because they cannot grow with the times. And an actor who was popular 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago who can't sort of evolve, they kind of go by the wayside. And I mean, trust me, just do a little research and you'll see the history of this craft is littered with the carcasses of people who just couldn't adapt. It's like every other aspect of our world, right? We have to adapt. We have to evolve. Hello. Thank you, Joe. I do look good for 110 years. Hello, Joy Saxton. Hello, friends and frenemies, especially my buddy Sarah. You know what? I don't know what to say, Mike. I hope I'm in the friends camp and not the frenemies camp. Okay, let's see. All right, I'm just seeing if there are any more questions because I don't want to take up your time if you've got things to do. But you know, I know you wanted to hear my song. Thank you, Joy. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other questions, guys. Please, 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 please. If you really want to be an actor, Robin Jones is a proud lizard carcass. You are indeed, my friend. You are indeed. If you really want to be an actor, guys, if you're serious about this, if you want to make a buck or two, get out there, train, do the work. There's just no other option. You don't try to get into the NFL or into the New York City Ballet or to become the CEO of Google by, you know, just saying, well, I got potential. I could dance if I wanted, but I'm not going to show you right now, right? It just doesn't work like that. Oh, Joy wants to know, how did I know I wanted to be an actor? Wow, Joy, that is a great question, but it is a kind of a long answer, and maybe it's a story for another day. I will tell you, I didn't always want to be an actor. I found evidence from a second grade essay I wrote in my parents' memory chest that claimed I was going to be an anthropologist. Yes, and after that it was Olympic gymnast, and it was only actress around the time I was 14, and took fine arts as an elective because my friend was taking it and I didn't know what else to take. So anyway, there's more to that story. Anyway, what's the latest acting revelation you've personally had, for lack of a better word? Wow, it's a great word, and let me think about that. Latest acting revelation I've had. I think, oh, I hear you, Joy, and you would be good at both of those. Robin, I think for me, it was the realization that I have enough life experience at this point that I don't have to do a lot more than look at someone, and they're going to read all sorts of things into that, you know. And I get it all the time. It's especially with students. Like, I'll fix a gaze on them, and I'm really just looking at them and thinking and processing what they said, but they'll be like, oh my God, why are you looking at me like that? So, you know, going from theater to film, I think I felt a compulsion early on to sort of, you know, use my mind to tell people how to react and to communicate, you know. And I won't say that I was Norma Desmond, but I just didn't trust that my thoughts and my life experience in combination were enough to tell the story an awful lot of the time. And so what I've learned to do is just ease up, think the thoughts, do the preparation, say the words, and often that does plenty. That does plenty. Mike, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't really thinking much of anything, right? But it said stuff to people, you know. Cody, thank you. I'm glad that was helpful for you. Yeah, so Robin, I would say that's it. trust yourself. Just trust yourself. Just trust yourself and learn your words. And I had an actor, you know, say that was his secret years ago, and I didn't quite understand it. But that's true. But here's the caveat. I've been doing this again for 110 years. And so I've got a lot, my technique by and large is already built in, and it's already second nature. And so I'm in it's a little easier for me to say that, to just say, you know, well, learn your words and do the work and trust your life experience, right? As new actors, we have to develop our skill set first, and we have to develop our technique. So, but it's really interesting. I was watching Versailles last night, which is a very addictive show on Netflix that has way too many naked ladies, but some very good acting. Of course, they're British, and it was fascinating to me to notice how many times people were in corners and they were just whispering to each other. And so they weren't even like talking in a normal tone of voice, right? They were just looking at each other. Maybe their eyes would move a little bit, and they were whispering to each other. But because they're British and they've had the training, and you know their intentions were very clear, right? You always have to know what your intention is, and they were thinking, right? And that's what actors forget to do. They're so busy trying to remember their lines that they forget to actually think the thoughts of the character in the moment, which is what we need on film. We got to see you thinking the character's thoughts. Okay, y'all, thank you for engagement. It's my favorite thing. I don't know why I feel like singing today, but I do, probably because it's a beautiful day. Okay, I don't see any other questions, y'all, so thank you so much for your time. If you think about questions later, drop it in the comment section. I will always answer it in the next go round. So my loves, stay safe, be well. If you are in an area where it is beautiful today, as it is here, then please enjoy it. And as always, break a leg out there.